All right, well, let's stick with crypto because President-elect Donald Trump's transition team is reportedly considering creating the first ever White House crypto role. That's sending Bitcoin closer to $100,000. Joining us now, we want to bring in Frank Speiser. He's Metafide's CEO. And Frank, it's great to have you. I heard that you actually see Bitcoin not only surpassing 100,000, but you see getting all the way to 250,000 by the end of next year. Lay out that call and what needs to happen in order to see that continued momentum within Bitcoin.
Yeah, so I think that's right. I think if you look at what's going on now, you have nation states moving into the trade. So they're, with Trump coming in, you have, a pro-crypto attitude. And Bitcoin is one of those things where everybody's going to have it. It's a settlement mechanism. It's a store of wealth, and it lets you transact outside of the dollar. So anybody who wants to, set up trades in Bitcoin is going to have a piece of it. Additionally, you've got ETFs this time around, which wasn't present last cycle. So you're going to have to, account for retail entering through these channels where they set up, routine buys. So that price floor is going to continue to move up. At the same time, you have all the exchange tokens that have been liquidated and they've been bought up. So that supply is not floating around out there. So the only place to go is up from here. And I think, we'll definitely get to 100K this year. We'll probably surpass that, 250K next year, and probably 500K by the end of 2027 is entirely achievable.
I want to keep talking about your outlook, Frank, but I want to add some context here with the banana elephant in the room. Crypto lover Justin Sun buying it from Sotheby's at an auction for $6.2 million, just a banana taped to a wall that he says he's going to eat in the coming days. To justify that cost, he said that it represents a cultural phenomenon bridging art, memes, and crypto, and he's certainly bullish on that crypto community moving forward. It's a little bit of a jokey thing here, but I wonder if that's a feature or a bug of the crypto trade in general. Is the banana an indicator of a bubble, or is that an underlying factor of what is driving Bitcoin up?
I think what you're seeing is a collision of cultures right now where, crypto is growing up. We're entering a new phase. That's sort of the leftover sort of degen, anything goes attitude of crypto, where it was just, a bunch of rebels out there trying to figure things out. But what you have here now is real financial tooling and innovation about to come. As the network capacity for Bitcoin starts to hit the roof, you're going to see innovation move to Ethereum, other chains like Ton and Sui. And I think that right there is just one of those things where, those are the kind of people that blaze the trail. But I don't think that's indicative of what's the potential for crypto.
Well, Frank, how are you looking at the leveraged ETFs that have now entered the market? Lots of talk about what that's going to do for volatility, whether or not we could see maybe some increased selling here as we approach or cross potentially that $100,000 level. What is the number one thing that you're looking out for?
You're briefly going to see things start to, oscillate around the 100K mark. You'll have people just psychologically taking gains, but it's just an arbitrary mark at this point. And for where it can go, the increased buying pressure upward, I think what you're about to see is it'll wobble at 100K, but it'll continue to go past that. Anybody who gets out of Bitcoin right now is making a mistake. I think it's one of those things where you can go considerably higher if you just look at what's happened before. And to your point, the ETFs are an easy way for a broad range of retail investors to come into the asset. So the retail appetite hasn't even begun to show up. So with the institutional buying, the nation states, and now the return of retail, things are just going to keep pushing upward. And I think anybody who just abandons their position for some arbitrary mark is missing the boat here.
So then, Frank, if it's interesting whenever we get that psychological moment in markets around round numbers, if we do see that $100,000 hit in the coming days, weeks here, and we see some selling off of that, do you think that's a buying opportunity?
Yes, I think any time right now is a buying opportunity for Bitcoin. And I wasn't always so bullish, but when you look at where it's at now and what's happening in the market, I think anytime you get it at a discount, it's a buying opportunity. And I think people who just take gains just to book it are sort of leaving a bunch of money on the table, and that should be someone else's gain for sure.
Frank, what about what we're hearing about the incoming Trump administration, the fact that they're eyeing potentially an official crypto lead or czar type? How much is that going to introduce more certainty, do you think, to the space, and how big of a catalyst is that?
Yes, it's a great sign. It's a signal that the asset class is growing up. What you're going to see is, more people investing in innovation. You'll also see, as the institutions pile in, you'll see more stability come. So you won't see these wild swings in crypto, because it's, prior to that, it was when there was a downside signal, people would abandon the asset and sort of pull back. But you won't have that opportunity anymore because of all these competing buys coming in. So the market will start to smooth out. I think for equities investors, it's never going to look in the next year or two smooth to them. But it's one of those things where if you're willing to ride, 7-8 point swings up and down, you can get into the asset and continue, the upside. It's one of those things where it is definitely not too late to enter the asset class. You can get involved through these ETFs, and as more people come in, the market will smooth out. And it'll look more and more like a mature market as time goes on, for sure.
All right, Frank, thank you so much for joining us this morning. Really appreciate it. That was
Thanks.
Frank Speiser, Metafide's CEO.